Hey guys, today I'm sharing some meals that can be made when money is super tight. I even have a meal idea that feeds a family of 4 and comes in at under $2. For my first meal, I'm making a budget version of the southern dish of biscuits and gravy. But instead of using biscuits, I'm going to be using soft white bread. I picked up these brown and serve sausage links for $1.78. I should have purchased the original instead of the Vermont maple, so if you're going to follow this recipe, make sure you do that. Biscuits and gravy are delicious, but so is soft white bread with gravy. Plus, it cuts the step of having to make the biscuits, especially since nobody wants to be running their oven right now. If you wanted a texture that was more like biscuits, you could always toast some English muffins, and I think that would be great. I'll be making a milk gravy with sausage, so you'll need some milk. However, it is possible to make the gravy without the milk, but I do prefer it with milk. This recipe actually works best with this kind of sausage, but it was more expensive, so I thought we'd substitute the link sausage here. It's not going to put as much flavor in the grease as the other sausage. However, as a person that's always enjoyed milk gravy without sausage, I think it has plenty of flavor on its own, but I'm sure there are probably some people that would disagree with me on that. You can also pick up the smaller package of the ground sausage at Dollar Tree. I'll add about a tablespoon of flour and some salt and pepper to the mixture and then see where I'm at. And then I felt like I needed to add just a little bit more oil, and I also added a little more flour. And I was just making enough for one person here. I've definitely made other types of gravy on my channel before, but I don't think I've ever made milk gravy. And it's actually one of my favorite kinds. Vegetarians could use vegan sausage and then milk, or you could try it with this mushroom flavored seasoning blend from Trader Joe's. I was actually looking for a mushroom bouillon the other day, and I was looking on Amazon, and I believe that other countries use that a lot more than we do, and that's why it's not really available in US grocery stores. At least I haven't seen it. However, it is on Amazon, so I was thinking about maybe ordering some of that. I think it would be good to use to make a sauce to cover pasta noodles. And also you could make soups with it. This is one of those meals that even though it can be a breakfast food, it's also popular for dinner. And you don't have to use as much milk as I'm using. You could dilute it a little bit with water, but I do like my gravy to be kind of creamy. And as it heats up, it gets a little bit thicker, and then I just thin it out with a little more milk. And I'm just chopping up the sausage so that I can add it to the gravy. I tasted this and it's seasoned perfectly. Now it's just about getting it to the consistency that I want. I'm only plating this with one piece of bread, but normally I would serve this with 2 pieces of bread, and these are just some diced potatoes that I fried up on the side. This was so good. There's something about the fluffiness of the bread against the creaminess of the gravy that's so delicious and satisfying. Like I said earlier, I usually prefer my gravy with just milk gravy without the sausage. So if you can't afford the sausage, you can just make this with the milk gravy on its own. If you don't have any milk, obviously, you can make it without milk, and you can just add some kind of a bouillon. You could add some chicken bouillon, or you could add some beef bouillon, but then it's going to be a completely different dish. It'll still be tasty, but it will be a different dish. Also, I just wanted to say that I used a whole potato, but you can also use the canned potatoes. It doesn't always make sense to buy a bag of potatoes, especially if you live alone or you don't have the option of buying individual potatoes. For my next meal, I'm making a breakfast stir fry for dinner, and I'm just using whatever I have in my kitchen, but the main ingredients that you need for this one are potatoes, onions, corn, and eggs, and then whatever else you have that you want to throw in. And I always keep this frozen corn just for this recipe because I really, really like it. And I usually use white onions, but I have this red one left over and I almost always have broccoli on hand, so I'm throwing that in as well. Now that the price of eggs has come down, they're probably the cheapest source of protein, and I've been using them in lots of my meals lately. Eggs with toast might just be the cheapest meal, and my favorite is egg sandwiches with sharp cheddar. Here I'm showing it with that pre-sliced French bread from Walmart. Since I eat this a lot lately, I'm happier when I mix the types of bread up, and I've also made a lot of variations of this on my channel. For my stir fry, I added in the corn when I was about halfway through, and then I just added some garlic salt, pepper, and then at the very end I added in my broccoli. And since I had this everything but the elote seasoning, I added some of that in as well. This was so flavorful and delicious. It really is one of my favorite meals, but I always kind of forget about it. I served this with 2 fried eggs, and I used this sweet and spicy Tabasco sauce that I dressed my plate with. Since I'd already eaten, I gave this to my youngest son, and he said it was really good. And I had half of the stir fry left over, which I saved for later. This next recipe has been on my bucket list for a while now. I've seen this dish eaten frequently in Italian homes, and this is basically just spaghetti with onions. This can be made for less than $2. I watch a lot of cooking videos from other countries, and I especially like to watch the grandmas in the kitchen cooking because they're always using whole foods and making simple but delicious meals. This time I got a faulty box of great value spaghetti. It had all of these little white marks in it, and when I cooked it, the spaghetti broke apart in lots of pieces, which I'm sure some of you would like, but I do prefer my spaghetti unbroken. I sliced some onions and then cooked them for a long time in some oil and garlic salt, and then I added some of the starch water from the pasta to help make a thick sauce. And then I added the spaghetti in. I cooked this just like I saw it cooked in the videos. The only difference for mine would be that I'm sure that they were using regular garlic instead of garlic salt. And you can obviously also use garlic powder. This resulted in a very flavorful dish. It was super sweet with those caramelized onions. And for me, it was just a little bit too rich. I think I would be okay eating this maybe with a tomato in it or something else to kind of counterbalance the sweetness of the onion, but I do know that this is very popular with a lot of people, so if you like onions, this may be worth giving it a try, and I think it's a really great low budget recipe. Do you guys remember when I made those crispy onions and I put them on top of the rice and gravy dish? I was thinking that those would be great on top of this instead of in the spaghetti. I think I might like that better. I think that would actually be a really nice dish, just making the spaghetti with the garlic and then topped with the crispy pan-fried onions. But there is no doubt that this had a ton of flavor. So if you do like onions, I hope you'll give this one a try. That's it, guys. I hope you like this video. I'll see you next week.
Morning has broken, my windows are open. Wanna feel the wind blow through my hair. Which way do I follow? What happens tomorrow? I turn to you and hope you can guide the